Alrighty, guys, we're back here, back with the Sahd Metal Recycling Dumpster Talk podcast. Have Todd and I, pretty familiar faces, and then we also have Griffin. So Griffin has been working here, 4 months now?
Yeah, about. Yep.
4 months, and this is his first time coming on the podcast. So we got him on here, and first podcast you've ever been on, right?
It is, yeah. I've never
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
So I'm excited. It'll be good.
Alrighty, cool. And then also we have two very special guests. Some of you guys may know. We have Kyle and Tim. So you guys know our boss Dan, and then his cousin Mike. This is Dan's little brothers. So yes.
You know how long it's been since we heard Little Brothers?
Oh yeah. I guess.
So you guys, how much younger are you guys from Dan?
8 years.
8 years?
Eight
Okay.
years.
Yes. And then so Kyle and Tim, forgive me if I'm wrong, but you said you are a Catholic priest in York.
In York, St. Joseph in York. Yes.
St. Joe's in York, and then Kyle is in Middletown at what?
Seven Sorrows
Seven Sorrows. Okay.
in Middletown.
Cool. Nice.
Awesome.
I always remember playing St. Joe's of York in basketball growing up
Oh my.
against OLA.
They
yeah.
were always good.
Yeah, they were always good.
good.
Definitely better than us, for sure. But thank you guys for coming on, joining the podcast. We were just talking a little bit about your guys' days in the yard, calling some of them. Do you guys kind of want to talk about maybe your journey as kind of getting into the priesthood or whatever, just kind of an intro of yourself?
Yeah. This place, as we're sitting here, the smell, I don't know about you, but the smells and the sounds, it brings back a lot of memories. Some good. And as a kid, you don't want to work. So some not good. But this was, I think, for both of us, a really great place to learn how to grow up and how to work.
Yeah.
Because you don't enter a place like this and not work. We were talking about some of the pressures that our family members or our dad put on us when we were working here. You never goofed off. It was not like there was no downtime. Someone was just getting yelled at for a break that might have lasted a minute longer than it was necessary. So I think for us growing up, and I'll speak for me, as a grade school kid and then high school kid and then a college kid growing up here, the work ethic that we learned and, never stop working really was put into us. And I'm grateful for it. Like whether it was cold or whether it was hot or whether it was raining, you were outside doing work, and there really was no excuse for that. So growing up, that was what we did. We worked here every summer, and it was not really a question. We might have had jobs in college related to our future business or whatever we were going to do, but we were always working here too. And I was a journalism major in college, and I wanted to be a TV newscaster. So I had different internships at WGAL and WSBA. And then I kind of interned in Washington, D.C. as a political journalist, political writer. And I loved that. And my first job out of college was in Washington, D.C. as a political writer. And I loved that. But after 10 years, I thought, okay, I love this, but there's still something that's missing. And I thought, I know what I'll do. The other thing I wanted to do is kind of work with our family and our family business here. So I came back here in 2011 and began working back here with our family. I thought this would be my life. I bought a house in Centerville. And was working to be a partner in the business. But after a year and a half, I felt that same feeling, like I love this, but there's still something missing. And I had never asked, we were always told in grade school, talk to God, ask him what you were meant to do, what you were built to do. And I never had asked him. And that was the first time I ever asked him, what was I supposed to do? I always did the things that I thought I wanted to do, but they didn't like fulfill what I was built for. So I asked God, and I felt a call to the priesthood. And so in 2012, I entered the seminary to begin understanding and learning how to, if this was what I was truly called to. In 2018, I was ordained a priest. And so I've been assigned to a couple different places, but now again in Mechanicsburg. Or I'm sorry, I was in Mechanicsburg. I'm in Middletown now.
Wow.
Congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah, I can remember. I think it would probably fall in between. You said like 2012 to 2018 was when you were studying.
Yes.
I remember. I think I would have been in like 5th or 6th grade, and I think you had came and like talked to our class every so often. I remember that.
You come into OLA.
Yeah. come
You want
in
to talk about a building that has smells?
Oh, yeah.
There's definite smells at
Lots
at
of
Holy
nostalgia
Trinity
there.
building. Yes, very much so.
Yeah. Kyle, do you want to kind of talk about your journey, maybe how you felt that calling? I don't know if it was around the same time in life or
Sure.
yeah, kind of how your progression went.
Sure. Well, I remember the very first time that we worked here. It was, I guess, right after school let out in 5th grade. And I went to Mom and I said, "Mom, I'm bored." And she said,
That was the
"Well,
wrong
okay."
thing to say.
I know it was. So she called Dad. Then we were told to come out here. And the first job that we had, and we did this for a few years, was just spend the morning going up and down the roads with a magnet, a long magnet, pick
yeah.
up
We still have it,
metal. Oh, you do? It's the same magnet, probably.
probably.
But and we'd pick up the metals and then sort the metals, but we would just put them in a bucket and sort them out later. But we would always make sure we were done by 11 o'clock
Yeah.
because The Price is Right was on. And we would always go to Grandma's and watch The Price is Right. But after that, but anyway, just good memories.
That's a fun story.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I mean, it was always good work, hard work, and like when we were in high school, we would come and work in the morning. And then what we would do is, as we were closing up for lunch at noon, Dad would always ask, if Dad asked, "What are you doing this after?" It was, "You're coming back, you're coming back and helping out. But we may have wanted to go to the pool or somewhere like that, but or just stay at home, and watch TV or whatever,
For sure. Yeah.
But it was just, I always just remember that line, "What are you doing this after?" And whenever you heard that, you knew you were coming back.
All hopes were dashed for
All hope-
anything
yeah.
else.
You better have an answer. You better have a good answer.
And there wasn't anything as good as we're staying here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was during that time that working here, and Dad always and Mom always said, "Do whatever you feel God is calling you to do." They never forced us to come to work at the junkyard, to be here, to have that as our career. So after college, I went to Bloomsburg University and I studied secondary education. So I was a teacher. First at York Catholic, I taught 7th and 8th grade for 2 years, and then 11th and 12th grade for 5 years, social studies. So American history, world history. And then it was during that time that I felt God was calling me to the priesthood. And our older brother, Chris, Father Christopher Sahd, was ordained in 2001. And I remember that day. I don't remember exactly the Mass, but I remember how emotional I was. And I remember thinking, and I had just gotten a job in 2001 teaching at York Catholic. And I remember at that moment thinking, I just got a job teaching, but I don't know if that's the work that God is calling me to. But it took me 7 years to figure out that maybe he was calling me to discern the priesthood. So I was teaching those 7 years at York Catholic. And so I entered seminary in 2008, and I spent 6 years studying and being formed to be a priest. And I was ordained in 2014.
Wow.
And I spent several time in Hershey and down in Franklin County,
Yeah.
and New Cumberland, and now finally in York.
Yeah. That's awesome. I guess it's probably a little bit of a unique situation, like of you guys having your brother kind of already being ordained a priest. I guess probably 10 years prior to you guys being ordained, or 10 years plus.
10 years plus, yeah.
Yeah. Did he have were you able to kind of use some of his wisdom and guidance to figure out if it was truly what you wanted and kind of to get through it, I guess?
Yeah, very much. And just listening to just going up to visit him,
Yeah.
seeing what his life was like.
Yeah, for sure.
Because when you visit a priest, you don't hang out and take time off. You just basically do what they do
Yeah.
throughout the day. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
when we visited. We just saw we just went along with people he was visiting, going to the hospital, whatever. But also, they never forced us. He never said like, "Hey, listen, what are you doing? Why aren't you?" And Kyle didn't either.
Yeah, I guess he was a little bit before you.
He was,
Yeah.
and we're twins, so we talk every day.
Yeah.
About what I don't know, but
Yeah, we talk for 45 minutes or an hour each night, you know, and after I hang up with that, what do we talk about? I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm sure it had to be a lot easier once people already kind of done it before you.
It is, and you can see that, like, okay, I know people who do this, and it's and they haven't like, you know, they seem to enjoy it, they love it,
Yeah.
and so maybe this is something I can do. Yeah, I definitely think.
And, you know, because whenever I was a priest, my first 2 years as an assistant and then became pastor, I would call Chris like 3 times a week, 4 times a week saying, you know, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? You know,
Yeah.
because, you know, it was very
Things
good.
Things come up.
Things
and
come
You
up,
have no
yeah.
idea what to do.
Yeah.
It's
So,
good to have
having a
people
mentor.
like that, though.
Yeah.
Did you guys have, like, during your 6-year process of becoming a priest, was there a favorite kind of part of the journey that you guys had?
I loved the time. The place we go to prepare to be priests is called a seminary. Some people call it cemetery. It can be at times, but it's a seminary, and I love my time getting to know the other guys who are going to be priests too. And so, anytime you got to meet other people who are doing the same thing you are, you begin to feel less and less like there's something wrong with you. You see other people who are your age or maybe a little younger wanting to go through the same thing and having the same struggles that you have. And like the thing with the priesthood is, I think most people think you got to go in perfect. And you certainly aren't. And so when you get there and everything seems messed up, you think you're the only one that's messed up.
Yeah.
But then you realize that everyone else is going through the same stuff you are. And getting to know those guys through that, they're the people that, you know, you just have such close bonds with because you've been through a lot. And whether you talk to them not a ton, you still have those bonds today. So I think that's, for me, the best part was going through that process of getting to know other guys going through the same thing.
Yeah. What about you?
The same thing. You know, you realize that, you know, they come from different cultures, different backgrounds, but the same struggles, the same, you know, thoughts about and desires to become a priest, you know, and to serve the people of God, you know, but everybody has the same struggles. It's just different ways in which we express it.
Yeah. Was there like a biggest challenge that you each kind of faced during it?
I would say for me, I was away for 4 years in Rome. And so the first 2 years, I wasn't able to come home. And that was difficult because a grandma, of course, who lived in the house over here, she had died in 2010. And those were the 2 years that I was over in Italy, and I wasn't able to come home. And so that was very, very difficult because she was always so very instrumental to all of us. You know,
And
we
to
didn't know.
to this place.
And to this place, yeah. And to, you know, and Grandpa, we never met Grandpa Sahd, you know, because he died in 1972, and we were born in 1979. So, you know, all we knew was Grandma Sahd here, and of course our other Grandma Smith. But we knew neither of our grandpas. And so we grew up like being here with Grandma, you know, at all times. So that was hard, and that was a struggle.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I could only imagine. We've definitely heard a lot of stories through Dan about Grandma's house and how big of a kind of impact she played on him as well. So.
Oh my gosh, yes. The whole house is just filled with sacred art, you know, or statues.
Yeah.
You know, it's true. It was truly a home of peace.
Yeah, it's awesome that it's still like here, because I guess the way they explained it is was this an old quarry when it was bought?
You know, I don't know what it was.
Someone told me that. I don't know how true it is, but it's kind of cool just thinking like all the people that lived in that house kind of built what this is today. So it's kind of, this was like your playground Is kind of how I think about it.
Well, I wouldn't.
But there
say
wasn't
that.
fun playing.
there was
always.
no fun here. And when we were at the house, we never came back here.
Really?
No, because we would either be yelled at, or we had worked all day or whatever, and the last place we wanted to be was here.
Yeah, but Dad, of course, I think you interviewed Dad and Uncle Mike earlier, and they talked about having races back here and different things.
The tire pile, they always talk about playing with that.
Yeah.
And with the dogs and stuff.
Yeah.
I can imagine if we would have done anything like that,
Like, yeah, no.
that would not have. No, we would not have been allowed to do that.
Wouldn't have flown,
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
They have such fond memories, but we would not have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always funny asking Dan how old he was when he started working here, because he always just says like no comment. But that's just kind of how it's cool to like from us to think about, because like the first generation didn't have all the equipment that we have, and our job's hard as it is with all the big cranes kind of moving stuff around. I could only imagine how hard it was when you didn't kind of have all that stuff.
It's funny as we're sitting here and you see the cans and everything. Obviously, the cans got moved up to a different place, but like the different process, people would just bring in bags of cans, and we would just take a magnet to the outer edge of the bag, and if it stuck to anything, we'd have to rip it open. But otherwise, we would just throw it into the truck that was here. We'd have to drive the truck over to the baler, dump the bags, open each little bag, and a lot of times the little shopping bags full of, you open them up, and then you dump it in the baler. And then if you see a piece of metal or you see glass, you got to climb into,
Yeah.
you got to get somewhere near the baler, shut the baler off, go and get the metal or whatever, get out, bail the thing. That was, and so like so many things have changed,
Sure.
and for the good.
Yeah.
You have the equipment now to do things that you don't have to. It would take us forever to make a bale. And
Seems
now,
like a nightmare.
and it was,
Yeah.
and it was, and it's 100 degrees, and you got bees flying all over the cans, and you're worried about getting stung.
I'm just looking over there to see if that baler is still there, but I don't see it.
No, the baler's not
Yeah,
there.
we got
No.
the baler up on that side. I don't know if did you guys have, are you talking about like the baler that made like this size?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The square baler.
I don't know if we have that anymore.
There
Probably
actually
think you
still
have
is a little. You just showed me a couple weeks ago. There's one can bale left in the woods over there.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, really?
Of the
It's like
little,
this big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the little.
They made
size.
nice little bales.
Yeah.
But then you'd have to go up when it spit it out. You'd have to go up and push it over, and
That had to
man,
be awful because you can tell like people who just had like cookouts that weekend, and there's like plastic forks, napkins
Everything.
in there.
There's
It's just-
everything. Yeah.
It's not a good situation.
And if Ron, our dad, saw a bale, or Uncle Wayne, more importantly, saw a bale with stuff in it on the outside,
no good.
you'd have to tear the bale apart and throw it back in and rebale it. And that was the kind of work ethic we had. Like, it's funny. They talk about the fun times they had at the junkyard, but like, we were working all the time,
Yeah.
and that really, I think, that played a part in who we are. I think it has to.
Yeah. How do you think that kind of helps with what you guys are doing today? Because obviously it's still hard work, just in a different way. Do you think that's kind of helped you kind of get to where you are?
Yes. Because you can be thrown off at a moment's notice, and your life isn't your own, And so coming here and just realizing that, you may need to work the afternoon or, and really growing up, I know before we were really able to work here, Dad wouldn't take like a whole week's vacation. It would only be 3 days. Friday, and then we come back Monday. So it would only be like a long weekend.
Yeah.
So his life wasn't his own either. So, but it's true. You just figure that work is work and that's what you do. And, it really helps me understand today that, my life isn't my own and that's fine.
Yeah.
Even though I don't like it
that-
sometimes,
I never
Dude.
heard it put like that. That's good.
I was curious. I know you were talking about how you were in journalism and you were teaching and you guys were here and you just felt like something was missing at some point. Was there any moment, whether it was in seminary or once you guys were ordained, that you like had a one moment where you're like, this, I know I'm in the right spot, I have peace. Like, did it ever click like that, or was it more of a gradual process?
People always want to know, how do you know what you're supposed to do?
Yeah.
And the answer is, I think it's just different for everybody, but it's a feeling that I had almost as soon as I started the seminary. Like this is a feeling I haven't had anywhere else.
Okay.
I feel like this is it's where like your heart and your body are congruent to the environment.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was the first time I ever felt that, like, it all seems to fit. Other places, it seems like I was trying to make it work. And that was the first place where it really seemed to work without me having to, like, force it in.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I know I visited Bloomsburg, and I thought, okay, this is, where I'm supposed to be, But it was a very different feeling whenever I went to seminary.
Okay.
It felt like home. Bloomsburg, I liked it, but it didn't feel like home. You know what I mean? I understand that feeling. Yeah. That's a good way to describe it,
Yeah.
That's a great point. What did you guys enjoy kind of going out of the country? I know you said you were over in Italy. That's something I would always like to just go travel. How was it kind of being away that long? Did you learn a lot? I'm sure you learned a lot about yourself, kind of getting away from family for 2 years straight. I'm sure you learned a lot.
Yeah, you do. You learn about yourself, and you learn about how you can handle things whenever there's really no family around, And I'm a homebody, I like, on days where, say like the day after Christmas or the day after Thanksgiving where, we celebrate Mass, we pray, but then after that, the days kind of are like for us,
Just to hang out.
I'm just in the rectory. I'm just in the house or just driving around town, I don't need to do anything. I don't need to go anywhere specific, But I think it helped me understand that, I have to be pushed out to my boundaries and I have to feel uncomfortable, but yet God protects in all those ways.
Yeah.
Even if you don't feel comfortable, God just forces you into those situations for his good.
For sure.
We talk about comfortable being uncomfortable here a lot. It's kind of as we were trying to figure out like core values and stuff for the business, and just like good lessons, I guess, to lead by. Comfortable being uncomfortable is just like a good thing.
Dan drilled us with that when we first started. We don't hear about it too much anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's definitely a good lesson, because if you don't put yourself in those uncomfortable positions, you're never going to be. You kind of just learn to be comfortable through it. That's one thing I kind of learned through working here. It makes a lot of things that I do outside of work a lot easier, because like you guys said earlier, we're working in heat, cold, rain. Like it's never like a perfect weather day, barely. So there's just a lot of elements.
And you know what? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just going along with what you said, I think it is important to understand that our life is awkward. Each and every one of us. We're always in awkward situations, So I guess just live with it,
Yeah, lean into it. Yeah,
and allow the Lord to deal with it as he will.
sure.
And that being uncomfortable, you don't have to try to be uncomfortable. Like there are always situations that are going to be uncomfortable. The only way you avoid that is by avoiding it, like doing something to avoid it. And we all do it. I do it, but all it does is it pushes off the inevitable.
Yeah.
So I think our life just moves, and unless you desire to make a change, the change isn't going to necessarily happen. So you have to, in that uncomfortability, make a switch in order for something to change. Like change doesn't happen naturally.
Yeah.
You have to.
No one's going to do it for you.
It's not. And if that's what you're being called to do, and in our lives, if you're being called to make a change, there has to be a movement you make in order to do it. It won't happen naturally.
Yeah.
That's a good point I hope you don't mind me sharing, but Griffin was saying like before this that like he wasn't sure if he wanted to be in the podcast because he hadn't done one before. Like I told him basically like it feels like this like 4 years ago Todd and I basically were the same thing. Had never done an interview like this at all. We'd have been so awkward sitting here in front of you guys, but just kind of pushing into it, leading into it is the best thing you can do.
Absolutely.
You get better at it
we've
each
learned that.
time.
Yeah.
Like this is episode number 88, and I still feel like I'm very awkward. But you just get better each time.
And that's what you have to do.
Yeah. When I first
just
started,
do it.
When I first started, I wasn't doing any of the social media, and I didn't want to be in anything. But now 4 years later, we're in every video, and now I'm marketing, like editing all of it. So it's kind of cool what you can kind of learn about yourself. Like I enjoy doing this now, but if I would have just kept being hard-headed and not done it, we're lucky enough to have Dan. So like, not that we don't have a choice, but he's very good at persuading you to just do it, and that it'll be better than you think. Which that's one thing he's been really good at personally for me. It's just kind of pushing us towards something that he thinks we could be good at or thinks we'll enjoy. Because when we came here, I was just turned 19 years old, so going on 4 years now. So Dan's kind of played a huge role. I don't want to speak for you, but in all of our lives, like in some of the most important years of our lives, he's kind of helped push us through. Yeah.
And I see that here. When I worked with Dan here, he was definitely, our dad, Ron, and Mike and Frank. They had a way of running the business, and when Dan came, he had a different way of seeing things. Not better, not worse, just different. And and as gradually as he became more and more involved, like the way we do things changed. And that is like, he has always been that way though. Like even growing up, he had an awesome way of changing how we see things without making us feel like we were making a huge life change.
Yeah.
Like I remember him talking. I hated roller coasters. I remember one of the first things.
Yes.
Yeah, and we were at the Comet at Hershey Park, and he was like, he just has such an easy, and you want to be with him. So like, well, I'm either going to be with him, my older brother, or I'm going to stand out here and not do anything. Yeah. And so we forced us kind of to go on that con. He goes, you'll love it, in the best way he does. And we went on, and like, man, we loved roller coasters. So we got too old to take them anymore.
That's where I am. I'm retired off of them. I get sick every time.
Yeah,
I
I get
know.
sick looking at it. Yeah. But he that's just the way he goes about everything, just like a gentle encouragement. And I think that taught us a lesson.
Yeah.
Like if you like the person telling you to do something and you want to be with them, you're gonna follow them, even if it means you're not gonna do something that you normally do. And I think that's just good for life.
Yeah. Sure. Especially with him being a great role model to all of us. Like in a way, we want to make him proud. So like when he asks us to do certain things, I'm not always like, sometimes I'm like, why are we doing this? But it always ends up kind of he's usually right at the end of the day.
Yeah.
99% of the time. Yeah. So.
And you know what? That goes with Dad too.
Yeah.
Like he has a way of saying things that, you're just like, okay, but he always has he always had our best interests in mind.
Yeah.
Sure. He always knew what needed to be done, and he was always encouraging in that way.
Yeah.
In his own way. And each of us have our own personalities,
And two very different styles of how to operate a business.
Yeah.
Again, not one better than the other, just very different. And for the times that they were in and what they needed. So, we were successful through all the generations because of that different thinking. My dad had different thinking from his dad.
Yeah.
Of how to run this organization.
I think that's what makes it work, as long as they're able to work together. Like I love working with Ron. We don't work like every day with Ron, but it's really cool working with him because he grew up with my pap. So like he reminds me a lot of my pap Cybert. So it's just kind of it wasn't hard coming in here because it was a little nerve wracking having Ron drive around at first because second generation owner, you kind of want to make him proud in a way too. But it's just been kind of like an easy transition because he's very similar to my Pat.
Yeah. You know, and every time we would be working, whether it be at the shearers or just picking up things. Even on top of the hill, there was aluminum siding, I think, one year with Bakelite in it. And we had to get the Bakelite out or something.
Yeah, we had to take the Bakelite
We had to
out.
take the Bakelite out of the siding.
I still don't know
on
what
top of the
Bakelite
hill.
is, but I know we took it out.
No. Used to be up there at the tire pile up there at the thing. And of course, he would come around with that truck.
You'd see the dirt fly up in the distance.
Yeah.
And then you heard it.
Yeah.
And then you had to kind of
Yeah.
Start
Get
moving,
working.
Start
Get
really
working.
moving,
Yeah. Yeah. Moving. You know, like it's not that we weren't working. It's just that we weren't working at a good pace, probably.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, you'd see that and he'd say, you know, what are you doing? You know?
is that how he said it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. But I remember there's a time we were in here for break. We came at 10 o'clock was break. But we came down, Tim and I.
And our grandmother asked us to come into the house for break.
Yeah. But she wasn't there
Right.
because she was still at Mass and out with breakfast with her lady friends down here at the Columbia Family Restaurant. Used to be down here. But so we came down. She says, come down and get yourself a waffle sundae. All right. So we
10
had to get
o'clock.
at 10 o'clock. Yeah. So we put the waffles in the toaster. All right. We took them out, put the ice cream in. By that, and then we're eating it. All right.
Probably
and
like
so
10:06 already.
it's
Yes.
10. Well, no, it's like 10:09.
Yeah.
And so we're coming out here, like just close the door. And guess who walks out this side entrance and says, get back to work. You know?
Is that how he said it?
Yes, he did. So, but I mean, you know, but
He and our grandmother had fights, you know, in the house. You know, oh, Ron, let them enjoy themselves. They're working. They're not supposed to enjoy themselves. You know, some big fights in that
I
house.
wouldn't say fights. It's
It's just the way it
Some
was.
fun fights.
yeah. It was just like, you know, oh, Ron,
Yeah.
you know, but it was good. But, you know, even in that, he was teaching us how important it was to work
And to stay
not
on
slouch
schedule.
off,
Yeah.
and to stay on schedule. And, you know, now I'm already starting to see sometimes, okay, if somebody's not working the way they should, you know, or whatever, I get kind of upset, you know, but that goes back to what we were taught.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So,
Do you guys want to kind of talk about just the biggest differences, I guess, you see since you last worked in the business and how you see things kind of progressing here, or anything like that?
For me, for sure, is the difference between, like, we spent all of our time, everyone spent all of the time working on processing the metal. Everyone. That was everyone's focus. And it was mostly manual. There were a couple guys in cranes,
Yeah.
or cherry picker or whatever, but most of the guys were doing the work manually. And as we had talked about, I think the biggest change is, okay, a lot of the processing is done in machines, but a lot of the guys don't, and now women,
Yeah.
which we never had outside of our mom in the main office. The work is done differently, you know, sales or what you guys are doing. Like, if we would have done this in that time, it wouldn't have been seen as being productive, I don't think.
Yeah.
But it's a different time, different. But that, to me, that's the biggest change. Is like everything was focused on, okay, what work do you have? What pile are you at? What are you doing? What loads coming in? What are we doing? And now the difference is, yeah, we're still doing all that, but then there's other stuff that needs attention, sales and marketing and
Yeah.
stuff that just wasn't, we just didn't focus on as
sure.
much.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
could definitely relate to about the processing. We've even seen, like, since I've been working here a little over 5 years, or coming up on 5 years in August. And like, even like, so how Uncle Frank had the shear back there.
The shear crane.
Yeah, the yellow shear. Like we actually have invested probably 3 years ago. So halfway through my time being here in a rotator, so it doesn't just go straight down and grab everything. He's
Yep.
able to, and that makes everything so much quicker. Just learn how to sort stuff differently in the past 5 years. So I can relate on that. Just do stuff differently for sure.
Even this area looked different. Like this was a
Completely.
non-fair scale.
Yep.
So this would be all backed up with cars, and now no cars really come through here.
Come through here. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot different. I'm sure the marketing's definitely a lot different from when you guys were here. I know when we first started the pod and like got all the new equipment, Ron was calling it MGM Studios.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
We got a kick out of that.
Yeah, but it's cool, like even to see him, like he's said a couple times how he sees how like the marketing and how our videos can kind of help bring business. So like even hearing that from the older generation who might not love it, it kind of makes us want to do it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just feels it's a nice thing.
Yeah. And I would say too that, I'd say from Dad, he had to worry about like making sure that, that we weren't taking cars, that we weren't taking refrigerators, that we weren't taking all that stuff to comply with the law, and Department of Environmental Protection, and making sure that we were, in line with that. And so, that was a big step from, I guess, Grandpa to Dad,
Yeah.
making sure that all of that. So we cleaned up that section over there, at the front part of the junkyard. We cleaned up that. He just wanted everything to be kind of cleaned up and started to be cleaned up, stuff that had been sitting in various places for a long time.
Yeah.
For a long time, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say that. And then now with Dan and Michael, I think it's very different in that you have to adjust and change the times, And so, they made that adjustment very well. No longer paper and pen. Now it's computer and podcast and other things to, continue to grow the business. So in every generation, there was always the right person for the position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Do you guys want to finish off with any? Do you have any maybe like funny stories that you want to close off with from around the yard, or any that are worth mentioning on the podcast?
I loved to me, what made the junkyard, whether the work is the work, no one loves work, but the people
Yeah.
at this yard, whether it was the customers, but certainly the guys we worked with, they were the best. And it took a while to get used to that as a kid, Sometimes they were a little gruff. Well, they were always a little gruff.
Yeah.
And we weren't used to that. And, we probably learned language a lot earlier than most people do. But the people that we worked with were the best.
Yeah.
And we learned, I think for the priesthood, what helped me to be a priest and an adult was being able to talk to all sorts of different people at one time, at different times. But like coming in here and talking with the guys, I remember one of the guys, they would make fun of us. The boss's sons are either getting special treatment, which we did not, for the most part, I don't think. But we had a guy named Rainier, and one day we're sitting up there at noon because we closed 12 to 1 for lunch. We're sitting up there, and we're sweating, we're exhausted. He comes walking up with his lunch pail. He goes, "Why don't you go in and tell your daddy that you work real hard? You get an extra piece of bread for dinner." And and he'd laugh and walk away like those dumb kids. What happens when you put both of your brains together? What do you get? A half wit, and then he'd walk away, It was just like, I don't know at first that I laughed about that stuff. I think, oh my gosh. But just being able to talk with guys like that, and then I think I learned, I don't know about you, but I learned how to come back at somebody with something,
Yeah.
and that's an awesome life skill.
For sure.
So,
Good thing to know.
yeah. And I think that's what I got the most out of the people at this business.
Yeah. Relationship.
We still have Merv.
Merv, oh my gosh, Merv has been going on 25 years, I guess.
Yeah, longer than
Maybe
I've been
longer
alive.
than that. Yeah. And Merv wasn't even one of the originals though that I remember. But he's been here a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. Merv's a great guy.
Yeah. And you know, that's the same thing. People will say, oh my gosh, isn't this person tough or isn't this person rough? And you think, yeah, they are, but they have a heart of gold.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned here. Most of the guys had a rough exterior, but they always had a heart of gold,
Yeah.
and they would always do anything for you, from dad to Uncle Wayne to Uncle Frank to Uncle Mike, to any one of them, to all of them, so, and it helps you relate to them. One story I just wanted to say, I was Uncle Wayne. We were up here, and, we basically worked with Uncle Wayne.
In the non-Ferris
Yeah,
area.
'cause
here.
you
Ferris area,
ran
right.
this shed in here.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, in this year. And the bales up here. One day it was raining, and we had to get the tow motor to pick up a bale here or something up here at the end of the paper shed. And really, really what was so funny, we got stuck
Yeah.
in the mud, and we couldn't get ourselves out. And so,
Something was always going wrong when Uncle Wayne appeared.
yes.
Always, always.
And he was, but he would yell, but he came across. We saw him come down here off the aluminum pile, and as soon as he saw that we were like
Stuck in the mud.
stuck in the mud, he always made the sign of the cross. Probably
God
to
help
say
us. God
yes,
help me.
but also yes, and please allow me to say things that won't upset them. That's what he probably was saying, But he would always make the sign of the cross and just say, "Just get out of here."
Yeah.
And he dealt with it.
Yeah.
He was a good man.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I definitely, both sets of my grandparents grew up in Columbia, so they knew the whole family forever. And my grandparents always say how good of a guy Wayne was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he truly had a heart of gold.
Yeah.
And would treat the customers so well and would treat us so well. All of our uncles are like that. Our Uncle Mike, I remember I was in a Bobcat and I lifted the bucket. I put it underneath one of these buildings at night and I lifted the bucket. I put it down and, they're foot controls. And the bucket, instead of going down, went up and it went up to the roof. And it went like that, and my seat and the cage that I was in went like this. I was completely forward. If I lifted it down, the whole thing would have come crash. It was a mess. And Uncle Mike, he came running right over, and he said, "Just get out of there." I said, "I can't. I'm suspended this way." He just get out. I said, "If I do, the whole thing's gonna. Just get out." He put his life in danger. He goes under there. He gets in. He fixes it, and then he walks away. He's like, "Have a good night, guys. I hope you know." And he's just such a positive, and what went from a death-defying situation was just another day for him.
Yeah.
And man, that's what sticks out to me. Just those times.
We all love Uncle Mike. He helps us out with I always love the days where something's wrong with our boat, because even though Alex tells him that we're going to handle it, he's always there to help.
He's always there to help. Yeah.
I know last time he had a dinner to go to, and we were there for an hour and a half, but he was just there to help us.
Yep. He loves to help.
But the amount you learn from people like Uncle Mike it's crazy, because I don't know anything about a boat. Can't name one part on it, but he helped us fix it in about an hour. So
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's with all of them.
Yep.
Dad, Uncle Wayne, Uncle Mike, Uncle Frank.
Yeah.
You always felt as though this place was, like family,
Yeah.
and you never felt out of place. You never felt anything. You never felt, well, sometimes you felt maybe not so much like you wanted to ask a favor, or anything like that, because, you always wanted to do it on your own. But anytime you would see them, they were always, every one of them was just always so generous, and they showed us love
Yeah.
in their own way.
Absolutely. Well, we always finish off the podcast with the same question. It is, what advice do you wish someone gave you back when you were 21? Well, we started that question back when we were 21, but now we're getting a little old. So just like around our age, what advice do you wish someone gave you that you know now?
Starting out your career or early on, whatever.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us on. This was a lot of
Thank you
fun.
for coming. We're looking
Yeah.
forward to this one.
It's just thinking about things that I haven't thought about in a while.
Yeah.
We'll have to do another one with you two and Dan. I think that would be a good
That
one.
could be
That
cool
would be a
too,
complete
yeah.
disaster. That
Maybe
would be
Ron-
wonderful. It'd be
Maybe we
wonderful.
can get Ron into
Oh,
it.
no, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
I think for the advice for me, and I think it's not necessarily about work or business, it's about life, is that we think we have to have everything figured out. And we think that we're the only ones who don't. And I think the best thing that I wish I knew 21, 17, 14, 10 is that everyone's messed up. And not in a bad way, just that everyone has things that aren't perfect. Everyone has things because you look around and you see that everyone else is perfect. And especially now with all kinds of social media and everything, everyone looks that way. But I wish that I knew that I wasn't the only one who had problems. Because that would make life so much easier. I would take the pressure off. I would know that I wasn't like some messed up being that everyone else wasn't, you know? So I wish I knew that. And what we learn in our faith is that all of us have an identity and an inherent dignity, even though we are messed up. Like God sees us for the way he created us, and that's all he cares about. He doesn't care about the extra stuff or the things that this other person's doing. He didn't create that other person in me. He created me. So I wish I knew that, because that would have saved a lot of worrying about what other people might think.
That's great advice. What about you?
I'd say that you always have difficulty in life. You always have challenges. You always have different decisions that you have to make that are challenging. And you realize that you make them and then, it passes. That worry, that anxiety, kind of going along with what Tim was talking about. But just you think that the decision that you make, every decision that you make is a life and death decision, But you make it and you move on and life continues, God protects each and every one of us in the decisions that we make. As long as we're making them with a good conscience, and as long as we pray about it and we discern, and we have all the good intention there, God will protect us in whatever decisions that we have to make. And we can spend a lifetime in worry or anxiety about different things, but you realize that life does go on with his help.
That's great advice. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to come on today.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you for
It
the
was great.
opportunity.
Of
It
course,
was really
hopefully
nice.
this wasn't
Thank you.
Been awesome.
was an easy work day in the yard.
Oh, this
for you
is the
guys.
easiest it's ever been.
Yeah.
And most enjoyable.
Just
Yeah, I
watching
think,
for Ryan to drive by.
A lot of people, I will say, we go to a lot of different like networking events with Dan and stuff, and just spend a lot of time with him. And he tells people a lot about you guys, and just always is definitely mention you guys and your other brother as well. So people will like to see kind of a face to the name,
Wow.
stuff like that.
That's very kind.
is very
He's
kind.
he's awesome with us. He's very generous. We try to meet up and just talk as much as we can.
Sure.
Sometimes it's a good bit, and sometimes it's not. But we get a lot of people. I get a lot of people coming at my parish or visiting. I've been down to the yard, or you get
Yeah,
to see
yeah.
Dan or you guys. So it goes both ways. So
Yeah,
very
it's
happy,
awesome.
Very much
happy
so.
to be here.
All in one big team.
Yep,
That's right. That's right. Thanks so much
Alrighty.
for everything,
Thank
guys.
you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome.
We'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Awesome.